So we want to lie in Shavasana first of all. But even Shavasana on a hot day is quite a closed feeling. So let's come into 5-star pose, which is when we take our legs a bit wider than the mat. We do it standing up normally in golden seed and things. So take your legs a bit wider than the mat. Nobody's looking, so it doesn't matter. And then take your arms above your head. You can keep your elbows bent if you want. So make it quite soft, but take your arms out directly in a diagonal to your legs. So think of a 5-star, your head being the 5th point. And find some space then. So have a big stretch at all 4 points of the diagonals, first of all. Maybe as well through the crown of your head. And then gently let everything draw back towards your center. Let everything just soften then. Your elbows might bend, your feet might turn in or out. You feel your tummy sinking back down towards the floor. Chin might tip slightly, and you feel the heaviness on the back of your body. But if you're like me, you'll still have little bits of gaps in the back of your body here, so it's not completely enclosed, it's not completely overwhelmed by the heat. So you've got a little gap maybe behind your waist, behind your ankles, behind your knees. Maybe a slight space between your shoulder blades. Gap behind your neck. If your hands are on the back of your hands, then you'll feel a little bit of a gap behind your wrist as well. So a little bit of air still getting into the back of our body, and the front of our body now feels nice and spacious and open. So think of finding the coolness on the front of your body. Think of that lovely feeling of having the armpits open. That space, the heat of our body is often in these sealed areas, our groins, our armpits. So think of them opening up there and finding some fresh, cool air in these hot, sticky places. And then find the breath and think of nice cooling breath. So as you breathe in, imagine a nice cool white breath as you bring in your energy. Take it nice and slowly and smoothly, not too deep, not drawing in too heavily. When you exhale, think of a dark blue smoke leaving you. Or maybe you want to think of a fiery red smoke. Feel that you're getting rid of the heat on your exhale. So just have a few breaths playing with the thought of cool air, cool breath, cool life force coming in and expelling any heat and any excess energy that we've got from today. Just enjoy the little space between your inhale and your exhale. Feel that air flowing behind your back. Feel that lightness on the front of your body. Coolness. What I'm doing here. And then we're going to come on to our right side. I was enjoying that so much, I almost forgot what I was doing. So come on to your right side. Bring both arms out in front of you. Come into your chair position. So knees are in line with your hips and they're stacked, and your feet are stacked and your hips are stacked. So as if you were sitting down in a chair, but with both arms out in front of you. Now you might want to put a cushion or something under your head here. If, like me, you've got quite a gap here and quite a long neck, you might want to put something under your head because it's quite a strong feeling otherwise. So a cushion or a block, not a big block though. Okay, so arms in front of us, hands together, and we're just going to think about opening up and finding space again in the front body. So we're drawing that elbow back. Don't worry too much about the breath tonight. Draw the elbow back and start to look up towards the ceiling as the elbow bends behind you. And then turn the head as the arm extends out behind you. I've got quite enough space here. Take the arm and put in, find that twist gently coming into the body. Allow your hand first to touch the floor behind you. Let everything go. If your knees then come unstacked, if the top knee draws back a little, that's fine. Just go into the twist. Find that space across the collarbones, across the arms. The armpits are open again. The palms are facing up the way. And if you feel that you want to, you can look towards the back hand. Just feel that space across the front of the body, the diagonal space that you've made there. So from your left hip, we've opened up across to our right shoulder. And if your head's turned, you've got a nice bit of space now down the left side of your neck. So just take 5 cooling breaths here. So think of inhaling the white, exhaling the red or the warm colour. Again, little gaps still between you and the floor. When you're on your side, of course, there's not so much of you on the floor, so that's nice. As you breathe, you'll soften, taking all the heat out of the muscles that are holding on. The tension is a form of hot energy. So we're just trying to relax and let go of all that hot energy there. And after your 5th breath, we're going to roll onto our backs and stretch your legs away from us and take our arms up above our heads. Have a bit of a full body stretch again. Find that nice space through the armpits, maybe through the sole of the feet, and then walk your feet over to the right side. Keep your hips still, and then walk your arms over, and your shoulders will go as well, over towards your right as well, into Bananasana. Now, you don't need to catch wrists tonight if you don't want to. It's not about really extending here. It's just about opening up the left side body. If you want a little bit more, you can cross feet and hold on to your left wrist. And I would suggest everybody just has a little bit of a less energetic Bananasana tonight, and just find that space. Elbows can be soft. We don't need to really extend here. But what we're thinking about is finding that space down the left side body. Space means there's room for air to move, for coolness to come into our bodies, for heat to dissipate. Nice light feeling on the left-hand side. And then walk the feet back to center and roll then onto your right side and take the chair position again. We're going to do the twist on the other side. So on your right side, I'm turning because otherwise I'm facing, I've got my back to you. So stack everything to start with, shoulders, put that anything under your head that you need to just lift it off the floor. And then take the left elbow back and roll across the back of the body, across the shoulders to look upwards, and then open out the top arm and maybe look behind you if you want to, just like before. Feel the knees, if they're shuffling, let them go a little bit. Let that top hip drag back if it wants to. Doesn't need to be forced into a big twist tonight. Just find that lovely open space across the front of the body, across the side of the neck. Find that cooling breath again. So think here of ice blue as you draw your breath in gently. Inhaling through the nose. And then use the mouth to sigh that red breath out this time. Inhaling ice blue. Exhaling red energy through your mouth as you sigh it away. Visualization is a really powerful thing to be able to use, especially when we get hot and bothered. Emotionally as well as physically, it's a really good thing to use to calm us. But the breath and visualization together really, really effective in calming us down, cooling us down, emotionally, mentally, physically. It's a great tool to use with your breath. So when you're ready, we're going to roll back onto our back, and we're going to take Bananasana on the other side now. So we'll have a little bit of a stretch. Take your arms above your head, walk your legs over to the left this time. Keep your hips steady and still and square, and then walk your shoulders over to your left as well. Again, think of whether you really want to hold on or cross feet. Try and make it nice and cool and calm tonight, this pose. Just letting some space come between the right hip and the right armpit without too much energy going through the legs or the arms. Visualize that space that you've made between your pelvis and your ribs. Between all the little ribs there, the muscles are opening up. All that tight fascia is expanding, allowing excess energy to release from that area. And walk back to center, find center, and then roll over. Coming over, yes, onto your tummy. And come up into Sphinx. I feel like I've forgotten something here. Okay, come up into Sphinx. So we've got our elbows under our shoulders. We're not dumping down into the shoulders, so do draw up between the shoulder blades slightly. Just connect and lift your heart away from the floor. Draw your tummy in gently. Gently press the pelvic and pubic bones into the floor for a bit of stability, but make it about 30% of what you would normally do here in Sphinx. So it's not getting into the full back bend. It's just about thinking of opening up the front of the body. And then close your eyes for a second. Find your breath again. Just listen to it. And try and find the Ujjayi breath, that very soft sound of the ocean in your Ujjayi breath. So you're inhaling, and as you exhale, you find that noise in the back of your throat, as if you were hahing the breath, ha in the breath out. See if you can find that on the exhale, that little Ujjayi breath. And then with that, if you can at the same time, if you can't, let go of the breath. Visualize that you're on a beach. So your eyes are closed here, you're on a beach, you're reading a lovely book that you're really enjoying, you're feeling relaxed. You can hear the sound of the waves lapping up onto the beach ahead of you. Gentle waves, cool blue sea, little bubbles popping at the edge of the beach, cooling down the hot sand. Find the Ujjayi breath again. And then bring your head down to the floor. We're going to take swimmer here. So swimmer is when you turn, let's turn our head to the right first of all. So you pop your head down with your right ear against the floor and bring your left leg up to the side of you, as if you were doing half frog here. So it's out at an angle of 90 degrees bent. Let your foot just be soft. It doesn't need to flex hard here. And then take your left hand and pop it down by your left knee. It's quite strong, that feeling on your shoulder. If you don't like that, then bring your hand up a little bit again and put your forearm to the floor. And then stretch your right arm away from you. So you've got a full body stretch in your right side body there. Big space down your right side body. So this is swimmer. So imagine now you're in a lovely cool pool. Might be outdoors. might not be very heated. Quite cool when you get into it. On a hot day, that's really what you need, is cooler water than a nice heated pool. Imagine you've taken a dip in a nice cool blue pool with the sun sparkling off the top of it. Your body temperature's dropping. The coolness of the water. So if you're not really engaging with the visualizations, please just return to your breath and just enjoy the space that you're making in your body. We're going to turn now to the other side of swimmer. So do swimmer on the other side. So the right knee goes out and the left arm stretches above your head. While we're here, I'm just going to read something, a little bit of it, and I'll read a bit more in a minute, but it will take your mind possibly off it if the visualizations are not for you. So this is a poem called Empty Yourself to Truly Find Yourself. Empty yourself to find yourself. Empty yourself completely. Tilt the glass of the mind over until all your concerns spill out and away. Detach yourself from the persistent worrier, the inner critic. Use your attention like scissors. Snip away at the worldly attachments of I, me, and mine, which keep you tied up in so many knots. Empty yourself so completely, so fully, that all that is left is spacious, open awareness, revealing your own eyes to themselves. Empty yourself to find yourself. So we are now going to move up. So take your time when you're ready, come out of swimmer's pose unless you've fallen asleep there, and come up to kneeling. And if you have your drink nearby, then grab it now. So you can kneel here or you can sit on in cross-legged just for a second, whichever you'd rather. And we're going to take a pranayama in the middle of our class now. We don't normally do this, but it's not easy to take this one lying down. So this is a special pranayama that is used particularly for cooling and calming. That again can be emotionally, mentally, or physically, but it's particularly good physically because what we're doing is drawing in cool breath, cool, wet breath over our tongue. So I'm going to do it kneeling actually. So have a quick drink, just a couple of sips of the cold water first, just so that your mouth gets a bit cooler. You haven't got water, don't panic. It's just really to cool down your mouth a little bit. Ready for this. So there's two ways of doing this breath. I can't do the first one. It's called Sitali, the first one. So Sitali is if anybody can roll their tongues. Now, strangely, both my mum and dad could, but I can't, and apparently it's genetic, so I'm a little bit worried about that one. But anyway, it's where you can roll your tongue and you can poke it out through between your lips. I can't even show you this, unfortunately, as if it was a straw. If you can't do that and you're like me, then you can just clench your teeth together and open your mouth so that your teeth are kind of in a funny grimace. And if you're using just your teeth, you're kind of sucking in the air through your teeth. If you're using the straw effect of the rolled tongue, then you're sucking the air in through that across your cold tongue. And then everybody exhales through the nose. So let's just give this a go. We'll take about 5 breaths of it. So when you're ready, those that have got their teeth together, it's a sort of hissing noise that you make as you suck in. So like that. And then exhale through the nose. A bit like a snake. Slow the breath down. It feels a little bit odd doing these things, so maybe close your eyes. So what you're doing, just continue for a couple of more breaths. What you're doing is you're drawing in air across the cool wetness of your tongue, which is then making the air colder and taking it into you. You don't want to do that with really cold air. You don't want to do that when you're up a snowy mountain, or you'll end up with cold lungs. But in a hot day, when the air around you is very hot and overbearing, then if you can take an ice cube or something, cool your tongue down, and then take this breath, it will really physically work for you. It has a really immediate effect on cooling the body down. So just take a couple of more. If you have been able to roll your tongue, that's great. Maybe you want to try it between your teeth and see what that feels like. Unfortunately, if you can't roll your tongue, you can't do the other one. Makes me feel a bit inept. But it's just as good using your teeth clenched together. Probably not one to do with lots of people looking at you. So when you come to the end of the next exhale, let go of that breath. So that was just something as a sideline, but using the pranayama, we use it for a lot of things, pranayama, but that one particularly is good as a physical thing as well. Okay, so we're staying on our knees, or you can do cross-legged here, and we're just going to do a bit of wafting like we did yesterday, wafting or wafting as I call it. So we're just going to breathe in and take our arms straight in front of us, up above our head, extend through the middle fingers, waft it back down again. Back up, one more of these, and then the next one, notice at the moment, if you're sitting on your knees, how closed it feels behind the back of your leg, how hot it is. So now breathe in, lift up, and take your legs up so that you come up onto your knees and open up the back of the legs then. Feel that air there, then sit back down, roll forward into a bit of a cat back as we waft up and down here. So we're rolling up. You might want to put it into an extension and then a little bit of a back bend to open out the front body. If you do, remember to squeeze the glutes. Draw back down into cat shape again. One more up and down. And back down. And then this time we're going to come up and we're going to waft completely forward. So we're coming down into a kind of child's pose. So take your bottom back and hands come down to the floor, head comes down, we're into child's pose. And then push gently with the hands and knees and bring yourself back up. And open up the front body. So think of opening and closing the front body here. So obviously the back body is doing the same thing. So take a couple more of those, moving up and down through the spine. I didn't want to let everybody just hang around tonight. We did begin last week, so we're just putting a bit of movement into this class. So then coming back up to the top, and then sitting back down onto your bottoms again. So let's take our arms up this time, and then we're going to take the hands behind us and roll right forward. Take the arms behind us into like a bird position that we do often, and then roll back up into a bit of a back bend this time. So lift up and then roll back. But we're not moving the hips, we're still sitting down on our bottoms. So rolling forward, taking the arms behind you. So already you're probably feeling the energy and the heat starting to build back in your body again. So let's now raise up onto our knees, take the hands behind us and come into a version of camel. So hands behind us at the heel and just below the waist there, as close to the middle of your body as you can comfortably do it. So we're tucking our elbows in, and then we're thinking about rolling forward and opening the front body, but make sure that you're squeezing your glutes, you've got them really contained, and the lower half of your body is nice and stable. So you're gently pushing down on the heel of your hand as you then start to roll up through the spine from sort of the waist upwards, this movement, Opening up the chest, take your shoulders back gently behind you. Open the throat a little bit if it's comfortable without your head going too far back. And then soften about 30% so that you're still in this position, but you just let go a little bit of what you were doing. And then breathe. So as you inhale, think of opening up the vertebrae on the front of your body and the front of your spine. And then exhale, soften. So not a huge movement, just a little bit of opening and closing there. Still probably feeling a bit of energy in you, but we're not putting our whole effort into this. One more. And then release, take the hips back down to the heels. Open your knees to the width of the mat, bring the big toes together and walk forward into child's pose, into wide leg child's pose here. So it's much more open, there's a lot more space around the front of the body. Take your elbows out a little bit further than normal to maybe the width of the mat, so you get a bit of space. Got cramp in my feet here. So that's something with hot weather, we do sometimes get a bit of cramp. You have to make sure you drink enough and take a bit of salt in if you're sweating a lot. So we find our third eye, our head resting on our third eye here. If that's uncomfortable, you can roll the mat up. I wouldn't stick a cushion under your face, so you might feel a little bit more heat than you want to. So bring your focus to that third eye, to that spot between your eyebrows. And as you breathe in and out now, breathe in that ice blue and think of ice blue at that spot as the breath passes it. Just exhale slowly outwards. Inhale up towards that ice blue again. Again, if the visualization is not for you, then just breathe. Find the space in the back of your body. Let go of your belly a little bit and find a bit of space there that we don't normally give ourselves. And then come back up when you're ready slowly and come into mermaid pose. So into this, our legs are on our side here. I'm just going to take our wafting again here. So first of all, hand on the floor or on a brick, your right hand. So I'm sitting with my legs going over to the left. One is under the other. So just gently draw that left hip back so that you're not kicking over too much to the right immediately. And then we're just going to engage with our left arm and inhale it up and take a bit of a side bend over to the right. But not too stretchy, just a little bit of movement here. So rolling up through the opening of the left side body and the contraction of the right side body, but just very gentle. Feel that space again under the armpit, down the outside of the arm. So you can continue doing that. If you want to go a little bit further with me, we're now going to take our right arm across the front of us, open up in a big circle, and as it comes up, then you want to push into your right hand if you want to lift up and come back down. So it's a big circle, so you're lifting as you circle and opening the front of the body. A little bit of a twist coming in there if you want to, so just do as much or as little as you want in this. You can stay on the floor if you'd rather do that. And then we're going the other way, so we're taking the hands backwards and round in the other way, the circle, lifting up and coming over. You can probably feel this through your waist if you're actually coming up and down. But remember, we're trying to not build energy here, so don't go too far into it. And then when you come to the end of that one, come onto your bottom, take your legs out in front of you, widen your legs. So this is nice and opening again. So we're releasing heat here again from one of the hot areas. We've already done it from our armpits. So we'll do both together here. We're going to trace the right arm across in front of us, put the left arm on the floor to support you, and take your big circle with the right arm. And back down. Just don't go too far. Watch your shoulders aren't completely wound up. Just thinking of opening up the front body as we come back up. Using your left arm to support you. Your feet aren't really active, but just think about opening and rolling open the thighs a little bit more if you can. And then go the other way with your circles. So coming up first and round and across. Make it as far in front of you as you feel comfortable. Folding at the hip hinge if we can, but let everything go if you don't want to do that. Let everything be soft and kind of rolly. And then come to a stop on that side. Just close your eyes. Notice the energy you've built up in your right shoulder there. So we're trying not to make it too hot, but we have actually put some energy into that area. So we are doing some good. And because we're warm, it's quite easy to do that. Okay, so then we're going to do our left side of our mermaid, so the other side. So again, remember, you can just stay here doing up and down, or you can do the circles. I'll take a couple of up and down first, just to get your body used to it. You can either come right up or you can keep your hips down, whichever you'd rather. Feel that opening sensation as you lift up. Once you've done a couple of those, then you might want to start your circles. So take the hand forward, bring it up above you as you lift up, taking it back behind you, sitting your bottom back down. Once you've done about 3 in one direction, take it in the other direction. One direction is a little bit easier than the other, you'll find. Got to contain one direction a bit more than the other in this movement. So that would be the way that will build up more energy and heat. So after about 3 of those, come to standstill, and then we're going to widen the legs again and take it on the left-hand side as circles. So think first of all of rolling open your inner thighs. So imagine your look at your toes and let your toes roll out, and you'll feel your knees and everything follow. So we're trying to keep a nice openness here. And then you can use your right hand here to support you as you take your left hand in a circle across, around and up. Bit of a twist coming in, maybe looking behind you as you do that side. And then going the other way. So we've got to think about this one. Up and round. So those big lat muscles, it's a good time to stretch them, those ones on the back of your body when they're warm. Beware, heat doesn't always mean that your body's warm. Okay, so then come to a standstill. We're going to come down now onto our back for our final couple of movements. So take a drink if anybody needs it, please. Move a little bit further away from the wall. And you will need your 2 bricks handy here. So grab them now so you're ready for them. Now we're going to come up and down in bridge, 2 or 3 wafts in bridge. So bring your heels in close to your bottom as you can. So let's take a couple without arms. If anybody wants to bring the arms into it then please feel free to do so. If you don't and you just want to do your legs, then that's fine. So when you're ready, remember we inhale, we exhale and do a little pelvic tilt. And then we inhale and press gently into both soles of the feet, rolling up through the legs, taking the knees away from us towards the wall ahead, lifting up through the glutes to lift up and open the hip flexors, and then softly rolling back down on the exhale. So take another one just with the legs, inhaling, thinking of opening the body up in the front as much as you can as you lift up and letting everything just pour towards your shoulders. And then softly drawing back down to the floor, vertebrae by vertebrae. If you want to take your arms into it, do so now. So begin the inhale and then start the movement. Open the palms, spread the fingers if you're taking your arms up. They touch the floor just as you start to then exhale, and then everything starts to move down. Again, try and do 30% less than you would normally do. So lifting up, but feeling like it's a sort of swaying movement tonight rather than forcing anything through joints or legs or shoulders. Just take it like a rhythmic bridge tonight. One more. And then slowly coming down to the floor, vertebrae by vertebrae. Fingers take the time so that when your bottom hits the floor, your hands hit the floor. Let go of the breath. Grab a hold of your bricks. Take your bricks, and we're going to come in now to Suptha Buddha Konasana. So we're bringing our feet, the soles of our feet together. Everybody take your bricks and pop them under your thighs so that you've got some support there tonight. I know some of you may actually be able to hit the floor with your knees in this position. Just take a bit of support. If you have a little bit of support, then your muscles will give a lot quicker because they know that they're resting on something and something's doing the work for them. So then take your hands either here, can just be on your belly in a sort of diamond shape with your index finger and thumb, and your arms are on the floor down to the elbows, so your upper arms are still on the floor, relaxed. Or you can take your hands into goalposts and really open it out under your armpits again, side body. Wouldn't take them any higher than that, but if you're in goalposts, just relax the back of your hand onto the floor. And see if you can just slightly widen across the back of the shoulders, and then let that space reconnect. So draw everything back to center there so that you soften through your shoulder blades. Trying to let go of the tension that you built up. And then take your attention back down to your inner thighs and notice if they've given a little bit, relaxed a little bit into the bricks. If you still feel that you're hanging on, you might want to put your brick up to the next height. So again, look for the little spaces behind us. We've got the space still at our wrists if you've got your hands on the floor. Got that space below your waist. Bit of space between the soles of your feet. Little space between every toe. Space behind the back of the neck. Still plenty of air moving behind you, but the front body feels nice and wide and open. Cooler air touching it now. So just to finish, a last little visualization here before we do our final part. I'd like you to come with me to one of my favorite places in the world. Some of you have actually been there with me. So I'd like you to come to where my mountain is, at the very top of Europe, above a beautiful valley. Our winter playground, where pristine white snow lies thick. In the winter, glistening in the winter sun. When huge icicles hang from the pretty chalet roofs. And crystal clear water rushes down from the mountain peaks. We're above the village. Ancient glaciers surround us all, with their fortress of ice blue walls. And they are towering above everything, the magnificent peak of Mont Blanc. surrounded by her many sisters, grand, imposing, solid, constantly clad in its winter cloak of snow. Cool, grounded, a reminder of the power and stability of nature. So someday maybe we'll all go together to that beautiful white mountain where it seems the sun's always shining. So before we move, just have a little body scan now and notice if there's any change in the energy. We have used some energy and shifted some energy, but sometimes when you get so hot, it gets a bit stale. So it is quite nice to move any sluggish blockages that we've built up. Hopefully you all feel a little bit cooler, a little bit more open, a little bit more spacious. Clearing the mind as well. Remember, you can always use your Sitari or just Sitali breath. So we're going to move now. So your legs are probably completely relaxed into your bricks. So just gently use your hands to bring your knees back up together and move the bricks out the way. And have a bit of a stretch or a wiggle or whatever you feel that you need to do. And then come on to one side. We usually say the left side is the more cooling, calming side. So maybe roll onto your left side. Take a couple of breaths there. And then come up, back up to sitting. Take your time, no need to rush. Back up to sitting cross-legged. So a little bit of an odd one tonight, a little bit of ad-libbing on my part. So hopefully we got something from it and we feel a bit cooler. And if not, it's just taking our mind off the heat of the sun for a half an hour or so. So thank you everybody for your practice tonight. I hope you feel rested from that practice and you sleep better for it. And we'll see you in the morning when it'll be nice and cool again. I'm not going to do anything energetic this week, nothing too strong, but a little bit more movement than tonight. So thank you and see you in the morning. Namaste.